The slicing sound of heels on hardwood interrupted the strained dance of soup and silence that filled the small kitchen. Harper Quinn stirred the pot with the practiced rhythm of a nurse trying to balance too many tasks, her knuckles white against the wooden spoon. The kitchen carried the comforting scent of rosemary and thyme, but Vivian Hart's sharp words cut through it like a bitter wind. "Really, Riley, how could you?" Vivian snapped, and though she wasn't addressing Harper, the meaning twisted uncomfortably in Harper's chest. Vivian Hart's words hovered like a storm cloud, invisible yet inescapable. Harper Quinn, 35 and fiercely dedicated to her roles in her hospital's emergency room and her family, had committed herself to caring for her mother-in-law since the surgery had left Vivian vulnerable. She'd willingly entered into this routine, juggling hospital shifts and vigil-keeping nights beside Vivian's bed, hoping to dismantle the cold partitions built over time. Despite this, every act seemed overshadowed by the effortless shine of Riley, Vivian's biological daughter, who would sweep in weekly, capturing smiles and accolades like souvenirs. "What's wrong, dear?" Vivian pressed, her tone as pointed as ever. To Harper, the word careless felt more like a knife than a simple scold, drawing invisible wounds she couldn't immediately address. Her throat felt as dry as autumn leaves, words trapped and scratching. She noticed Vivian now muttering under her breath, dissatisfaction like thick fog settling over the room. Riley, predictably late for her weekly visit, made her way in with breezy steps, her entrance graced by the delicate bouquet she carried as though it were a scepter. Her arrival was always like this, choreographed, picture-perfect, capable of undoing Harper's threads of effort with a single compliment. "Something smells delicious," Riley announced. Flowers in one hand, phone in the other ready to capture curated moments of familial harmony. "How's my darling patient today?" she cooed, kissing Vivian's cheek lightly, the gesture as practiced as her bright smile. Vivian's expression softened immediately, any trace of prior irritation vanishing. Riley, you're right on time." "I was just explaining to Harper the importance of the little details," Vivian noted, her glance directing an unspoken criticism toward Harper. "Mom, I'm sure Harper's trying her best," Riley replied, voice laced with syrupy sweetness. She turned to Harper, eyes briefly brushing over her, conveying a patronizing warmth. Harper's hands stilled for a second, a surge of hot words rising unsaid, her gaze anchored to the pot. She watched Riley, already shifting her attention, pulling out her phone, a harbinger of the photo op ritual that was sure to follow. "Just want to capture these precious moments," Riley chirped, orchestrating her narrative as she nestled beside Vivian for another picture-perfect scene. Vivian seemed pacified, contented as if soothed by Riley's mere presence, evidence of her daughter's selective devotion. "It's wonderful to have my girls together," Vivian sighed, her contentment palpable, her eyes fixed on Riley. "Riley has a knack for making me feel cherished," she continued. Harper couldn't help but tighten her grip on the ladle, feeling an invisible tether of her own efforts strain under the weight of Vivian's dismissive warmth. She stood there, the kitchen a stage of simmering roles she dutifully played, while the spotlight danced effortlessly to Riley's tune. Underneath the soft murmur of Vivian's breathing machine, Harper Quinn rearranged the pillow behind her mother-in-law with practiced efficiency. Although Vivian slept peacefully, Harper couldn't still her racing mind after long days of constant care. This cycle of attending to Vivian's needs followed her hospital shifts in another town, each moment a testament to her commitment despite the overwhelming exhaustion that followed her. Within these walls, Riley's fleeting visits left only curated memories and superficial promises hanging in the air. As Harper aligned the blankets, the previous scene replayed in her mind. "Mom," Riley had said with an airy nonchalance, "I thought about bringing you that herbal tea you love, from that quaint shop downtown. Work's been overwhelming, but I'll make time." This offer, another drop in the bucket of her broad gestures, wasn't lost on Vivian. Her eyes had lit up with admiration. "Oh, Riley, that sounds delightful. Always so considerate of you." Harper could no longer contain the boiling truth within her. "Thoughtful." The word escaped her lips with unintended sharpness. Both women turned to her, surprise etched across Vivian's brows. The words flowed unbidden. She drops by, takes a few snapshots, and vanishes. I'm here every day doing everything I can. Riley's smile widened, though her eyes held a glint colder than before. Harper, she spoke, her tone even and composed. This isn't a competition. We all contribute, each in our way. Harper felt the tension in the room congeal around her, but she refused to let Riley's tone win. Just beyond the kitchen door, her frustration spilled over. Even though she was right, the truth sting lingered, weighted by the score she wished she hadn't started to keep. It wasn't who she intended to be, no matter how inequitable it all felt. Retreating to the guest room later, Harper welcomed the haven of her own thoughts. She reached for her phone and Jordan's voice filled the silence, familiar and warm. Is everything all right? No, the word dropped before she could catch it. I'm worn out, Jordan. I've taken on everything for your mom, and it goes unnoticed. Riley waltzes in, brandishing flowers and facades, and suddenly she's the devoted daughter. Jordan's weighted sigh resonated through the line, each crackle reinforcing familiarity. Harper, you know how Mom is. She's always been like this. Don't let it get to you. His reassuring tone softened the edges of her frustration, yet Harper knew he didn't grasp the full measure of her plight. Understanding her nature doesn't make it less hard, Jordan. Imagine doing so much and still feeling invisible. Her voice caught, the words curdling mid-sentence as she bit back the rawness of her isolation. I wanted to share this, to have you understand. Harper, Jordan's voice tempered with concern and urgency, pushed gently. Maybe it's time you took a breather. You've done more than anyone could ask. Riley can handle things for a while. Come home. Be with me. The suggestion tugged at Harper's heartstrings, kindling the image of their cozy apartment just beyond the reach of responsibility. The thought of returning to Jordan, enveloped in mutual care, almost made the tears spill over. Yet, her heart lingered on Vivian, her frailty, and the underlying guilt that accompanied her absence. I don't know Jordan. What if she needs me? She'll manage, Harper, Jordan insisted softly. It's not selfish to take care of yourself. You've been selfless. It's time to put yourself first. Their home, 2 hours away in a compact apartment, was a tapestry of memories sewn together over 5 years. When Vivian's surgery had loomed on the horizon, Harper had willingly uprooted their lives to be here for recovery's unpredictable course. Jordan would have joined, but was tethered by an unyielding career shift. He called daily, concern layering his every question. Harper inhaled deeply, skirting the edge of decision with Jordan tethering her steadfastly on the other side. Jordan, it's not that I don't want to be there, she breathed into the phone. I miss you terribly, but she still needs someone. A silence settled, each passing moment steeped in competing loyalties and commitments woven too tightly to unravel so easily. The pre-dawn glow crept into the guest room, casting soft shadows as Harper Quinn sat, lost in the irony of a day that promised to be just as long and unyielding as the previous 3 weeks. As she thumbed through the digital clock's quiet humming seconds, Jordan's voice from their late-night conversation echoed in her mind. He had spoken with a measured calm, gentle yet assertive. Harper, you've done more than enough, he'd insisted. Taking care of yourself isn't being selfish. In the stillness, she promised him she'd consider stepping back, though her heart twisted with uncertainty. Shrugging off her tension, Harper steeled herself for another day. Vivian sat in the living room, her eyes glued to a low-muted weather report, not acknowledging Harper's entrance. The air felt charged with anticipation, and Harper wavered, choosing her words with care. Should she broach the day's beginning with a simple greeting or consider the possibility of discussing what had been weighing heavily on them both? But Vivian's voice cut through her thoughts, tinged with irritation as predictable as the sunlight casting through the windows. Harper, Vivian addressed her curtly, dinner was simply too late last night. My digestion can't handle that. Harper blinked, her astonishment flaring as she remembered having dinner ready promptly after Riley's fleeting visit. We had agreed, she began, only to be promptly interrupted. Agreed, yes, Vivian asserted, honing her words like blows. but Riley never needs reminding. With her, everything just falls into place. Harper's hands clenched instinctively, biting back a response as vivid memories of Riley's fleeting visits distracted her. Riley was here under an hour, Harper replied, controlling her frustration and masking her disbelief. The directness in Vivian's retort twisted like a knife. You missed the point, Harper. Riley acts without needing direction. She's considerate like that. Breathing deeply to steady her voice, Harper maintained her calm. I've been here, every day, she pointed out gently, willing herself to keep her composure. Yet Vivian's words pierced deeper, each syllable colder than the last. You're here physically, but it's obvious you don't truly want to be. The verbal assault struck Harper in the chest, causing her breath to hitch. Each word felt heavier than the last. That's unfair. She began trembling slightly. I've put everything on the back burner for you, given up so much. Vivian retorted with a dismissive, sarcastic tone, oh, how noble. If it's such a chore, let Riley handle it. At least she doesn't make me feel like a nuisance. Harper's mouth opened and closed, struggling to formulate the correct response, but any words felt inadequate. Bitterness boiled beneath her skin, but she knew escalating her anger wouldn't change the situation. I'm doing everything I can, Vivian, she breathed, her voice soft but resolved. I'm sorry if that's insufficient. Vivian waved her hand dismissively, returning her gaze to the TV as Harper stood rooted in place, emotions boiling over beneath the surface. Your best isn't what I need, Harper. Riley gets me in a way you never will. Air became stifling in the small room as Vivian's words settled around her like suffocating smog. With no more words to exchange, Harper retreated slowly, willing herself to maintain poise until she reached the guest room, shutting the door softly behind her. Tears pricked at her eyes, but she wouldn't indulge them, not there, not yet. Sitting on the edge of the bed, she glanced at her suitcase with its neatly folded contents, a silent harbinger of a decision untaken. Scrolling through her phone, Jordan's earlier message shimmered softly across the screen, each word resonating with newfound clarity. You've done enough, Harper. Please come home. The weight of what she'd been numb to processing finally sank in. Jordan's words carried a stark truth. She had given all she could, her time, her energy, her peace. Nothing she did compared to the image Vivian held dear of Riley, perched so loftily above. For Harper, the decision wasn't about admitting defeat, but recognizing her limits. She needed to prioritize her sanity over unending validation-seeking. It was time to release those hopes and truths that seemed set in stone only in her mind and recognize the necessity of self-care. She drew a breath, wiping away tears that threatened to spill. Resolute, Harper concluded that going home was not abandonment, but liberation. That afternoon she promised herself she'd discuss it all with Jordan, finding a semblance of peace within the loving embrace of shared understanding. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of burnt orange and fading purple, as Harper Quinn finally gathered her courage to address the tension that had knotted her stomach for weeks. Within the dim-lighted kitchen, the silence between her and Vivian draped heavily, unsaid words lingering like shadows. Vivian, Harper started, her voice calm yet laced with conviction. We need to talk. Vivian, stirring a simmering pot, barely shifted her gaze. If this is about supper plans, Harper, perhaps focus on being punctual instead, she replied curtly. Harper's jaw set, but she pushed forward, refusing to be dismissed. No, it's not about dinner. It's about how I've been treated since I arrived. The stirring ceased, and Vivian finally turned, eyeing Harper with an eyebrow raised in skepticism. And just how have you been treated, Harper? She asked, her tone imbued with obvious doubt. Harper drew a deep, fortifying breath, feeling each word choice carefully before releasing them into the open. Every single day, I've put my heart into being here, rearranging my life, sacrificing important occasions, and offering you every ounce of my energy. Yet, no matter what, it's never been enough for you. Setting the spoon aside with deliberate grace, Vivian folded her hands. Well, she replied coolly, if you're so exhausted, no one's keeping you here. Frankly, Riley would manage far better. She always does. Harper flinched at the sharpness of Vivian's words, but remained unyielding in her resolve. Riley isn't here, Vivian, Harper asserted, her voice firm. She's never here for more than fleeting moments. I've been the one by your side. But if you believe she's the better choice, fine. I'm done. Stone-faced, Vivian met Harper's gaze without faltering. Good, she said, disdain dripping from her voice. At least Riley knows how to be respectful. Acknowledging the cold weight of the conversation's finality, Harper nodded slowly. I hope Riley can meet your expectations, she murmured, barely audible. Because I won't be here. With that, she turned away, heart pounding but head held high, leaving behind the tangled demands of unappreciated duty. In the privacy of the guest room, Harper's movements were steady as she packed. Each carefully placed item felt like another burden lifted from her weary shoulders. Vivian's hurtful words echoed in her mind, but she ignored them, concentrating instead on the relief of no longer contorting herself for someone who didn't see her worth. Once everything was tucked away, Harper perched on the edge of the bed, phone in hand. Her thumb hovered over Riley's contact, determination hardening her resolve as she pressed call. The phone rang several times before Riley's terse greeting crackled through. What's up, Harper? I'm in a rush. Drawing a deep breath, Harper refused to let Riley's impatience rattle her. I'm leaving, she stated, cutting through the pretense. The bags are packed, and I'm heading home. Vivian needs someone. Congratulations, it's your turn. What? Riley's voice spiked in surprise. You can't just. I can, and I am, Harper responded firmly. My part's done, Riley. It's your time now. Riley's disbelieving laughter was sharp. Oh, sure, just drop it all on me. You act like I'm not busy. I can't just, Harper interrupted, steady and unyielding. I've been here for weeks, and you've had plenty of time to prepare. She believes you're more suited to this task. Good luck figuring it out. Are you kidding me? Riley's cry pitched higher, tinged with panic. This isn't my role, Harper. You're the caregiver, not me. Not anymore, Harper declared, her voice icy. Good luck, Riley. Ending the call with a sigh of release, Harper stood, grabbed her suitcase, and walked away. She owed no explanations, all debts paid. It was time to reclaim her life. For days drifted by, a cautious peace settling over Harper's days, free from the weight of Vivian's demands, until a name illuminated her phone in the quiet of the evening. Reflexively, she considered ignoring it, but an odd mixture of guilt and curiosity tugged her back. Hello, Harper answered tentatively. Harper, Vivian's voice whispered, fraught and frail, unraveling through the line. As the stars cast a gentle glow over her room, Harper Quinn felt a strange knot in her stomach. It had been 5 days since she'd walked away from her mother-in-law, Vivian, carving out space for herself amidst the wreckage of unmet expectations. That space was fragile, stitched together by late-night chats with her partner, Jordan, and the rhythmic cadence of her morning runs. Her phone buzzed sharply through the silence, and Harper's pulse quickened. Vivian's name flickered on the screen, anxiety intertwining with begrudging curiosity. With a stealing breath, she pressed the call button. Hello. Harper. Vivian's voice was barely a whisper, raw and quaking. I need to talk to you. A pause lingered as Harper absorbed the unexpected vulnerability. Is everything okay? No, Vivian admitted, her words laced with frustration and an unfamiliar note of desperation. I haven't seen Riley since you left. She's dodging my calls, always claiming she's swamped with work. She promised she'd help. Harper bit her lip, the words "I told you so" bubbling beneath the surface. Instead, she listened as Vivian's voice trembled, recounting her newfound solitude. I'm doing everything by myself. Some days, I can't even manage the stairs. I feel abandoned. The confession thudded in Harper's chest, a poignant mix of sympathy, vindication, and simmered resentment. Vivian, who once slighted Harper's intentions, finally tasted solitude's bitter edge. I'm sorry to hear that, Vivian, Harper replied evenly. I warned you this might happen. Riley's always been skilled at lip service, lacking follow-through. A silence stretched. Vivian's tone softened, vulnerability creeping in. I didn't think. I didn't imagine she'd leave me so completely. I thought she cared. Harper remained silent, resisting the urge to deepen Vivian's heartache. Consequences of favoritism finally dawned on Vivian, and though a sliver of Harper felt vindicated, empathy tangled with her resolve. I wouldn't wish this feeling on anyone, Harper said gently, holding steady. But I can't return right now. Vivian's immediate response snapped sharply, not right now? What does that mean? It means I can't drop everything again, Harper said, each word deliberate and firm despite the pang in her heart. I came with all I had to offer, and it felt like it was dismissed. I can't go through that again. Now you're holding a grudge? Vivian shrieked, her voice rising with anger. You think you're some kind of angel? I noticed every mistake you made, Harper, and you never were fit for this family. Now, you're just proving it. Each word was a slap, but Harper kept her voice steady. I never claimed perfection, Vivian. I know I faltered, but I gave it my all, and it was never enough. And now, you want me back as if nothing has happened. Her words echoed, Vivian letting out a laugh soaked with bitterness. I should have known you're no different selfish. Riley would have never deserted me like this. Riley already has. Harper's quiet retort hung in the air, met by stunned silence before Vivian's anger ignited again. Don't you dare speak of Riley. Vivian's voice cracked, fervent with denial. She has valid reasons. Unlike you, you're just looking for excuses to run. Tears brimmed Harper's eyes, but she wouldn't let them fall. I'm sorry you feel that way, Vivian, but I can't return, not like this. Before Vivian could unleash more fury, Harper ended the call, hands trembling as Vivian's words lingered heavily within her. 5 days trickled by, Harper weaving peace back into her life, gluing fragile fragments with Jordan's support and introspective evenings. Yet when her phone pulsed with another call from Vivian, Harper hesitated, wrestling with whether to accept it. Finally, she exhaled and picked up. Hello. Her name came broken from Vivian's lips, tears woven into each syllable. Harper, I'm so sorry, Vivian wept, her voice fragmented by sobs. I don't know what came over me. You gave so much, and I repaid you with cruelty. You didn't deserve any of it. As the evening breeze drifted through the open window, Harper Quinn sat in her living room, the unexpected apology from Vivian Hart echoing through her mind like a haunting melody. When the call came in, Vivian's voice was raw with regret and newfound clarity, her words unraveling the tangled threads of their shared past. Harper, Vivian began, her timid voice a stark contrast to its usual harsh tone. I need you to hear me out. Harper, caught off guard, nodded to herself, willing to listen. Go ahead. Vivian's words poured out, each syllable weighed down with remorse. I've been so blind, so unfair to you, she confessed, her breath hitching. You didn't have to come here to take care of me like you did. And yet I treated you horribly. Harper felt a rush of emotions as Vivian's sentences weaved around her heart, sincerity slicing through layers of hurt she hadn't even fully acknowledged. Vivian's voice faltered, cracking with the depth of her regret. Riley hasn't been around since you left, and it's glaringly clear to me now what I so stubbornly refused to see. I don't deserve your kindness, Harper, but you gave it freely. Tears welled up in Harper's eyes, her resolve softening. She steadied herself, drawing in a cleansing breath. Thank you, Vivian, she replied gently. That means more than you know. I don't expect forgiveness, Vivian whispered, her voice barely holding together. I just needed to apologize, really apologize. I'm so sorry. Their conversation paused, filled with a silence that spoke louder than words. I'll need time, Harper finally said, her tone calm yet firm. But I do appreciate your apology. It's a start. It is, Vivian murmured, her sobs quiet now, replaced by a hopeful determination. I promise I'll try to do better, Harper. When the call ended, Harper placed the phone beside her, feeling the weight of Vivian's words lift some burden, leaving her lighter yet reflective. For the first time, there appeared a hint of a path forward, uncertain but promising. In the months following Vivian's recovery, their interactions gradually transformed. Gone were the pointed critiques and icy exchanges. Instead, Vivian extended her warmth with gestures of kindness and gratitude Harper hadn't known she was capable of. Each meeting now blossomed with shared smiles instead of tension-laden silence. Vivian's genuine appreciation filled the spaces between them, slowly knitting together a relationship Harper had long thought impossible to salvage. While past scars couldn't be erased completely, they no longer dictated their every interaction. Harper felt valued, and this newfound respect breathed life into an area of her existence she'd almost decided was too fractured to mend, making all the difference in her journey toward healing and genuine connection.